This is not a masterclass of how to build things. This is hang out with me while I try to figure crap out.
Say again?
This thing's gonna be crazy.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
And I think somebody ate our tater tot. Oh, risk of bruising? No, bursting. I'm gonna have a fire in here pretty soon.
Jesus. No way. Holy shit.
Hell yeah.
The most amazing thing of all time.
All right, Jeff, what are we doing today?
In short, it's going to be a tater tot shotgun.
I drew the most crude, awful drawing I could. We sat down with Brian. He wrote down a list of things he wanted. Just woke up and like, bang, idea. I really wanted to do a version of a potato cannon, tater tot shotgun. What I'm thinking is multiple barrels.
I want to come out like, get off my property.
Yep.
You're gonna have this big old PVC double-barreled classic shotgun. Boom, boom, boom. I guess what's another thing? With the double-barreled, they break, and then you load, and then they close. That may, is that too different? All right, hold on. I want it Western. All right, so we'll do Western, steam, punk. We could do the old-fashioned, like, clickety-clack musket triggers.
Possibly, yes. Yeah, write it down. We'll see what we can do.
That looks
Ooh,
like
that's
a
a
YouTube
lot.
violation. There we go. And then 2 triggers.
Okay.
You ever seen a shotgun with the 2 triggers?
Yeah.
So 2 triggers. What? Okay. I just drew a dick. All of this is blurred out. It's a shotgun, I assure you.
So I think I'm gonna do 4 barrels. This is only 2 because we're looking at it from the side. Maybe we can build a breakover where we can have them actually break over like a shotgun. I don't know, maybe that'd probably happen here. Going into a Y that connects to a electronic valve that will open up. A air compressor on top to fill these chambers. So these 2 are chambers and these will go underneath your armpit. And then the stock will rest against your shoulder with the triggers there. So now we need to start actually looking at buying some pieces and testing some things out. So you're gonna go on an adventure with me and Jeff today. I think it's actually time to start building. We went to the store the other day.
What do we have here?
2 switches. These are to be able to turn on the air compressors on and off. 2 more of these switches. So we're at a car repair store, car parts store.
Okay.
And so I'm looking for what is the momentary switches. And so what that means is these switches here, they don't stay on or off. You just click and then go back.
Okay, cool.
So that way these would actually be the triggers. So they just click and fire the tater tots. All this is most likely, by the way. Most likely this is what's gonna happen. Either 1 or 2 of these. I gotta decide how I'm gonna design it. It looks like a drill, but it's actually just to air up your tires and things. So I think this is gonna be the air compressor we're gonna use because they're dirt cheap at 24 or 25 bucks each. This is a little adapter you clip on the batteries. And so that way we can use the electricity off of the battery to run the solenoid valves.
Yep.
And then also the air compressor itself. Jeff, hopefully this new fancy HEB has tater tots.
Sure, they have a wide variety.
Oh! So we can find a PVC pipe or a pipe that is the size of a tater tot.
So we're literally just going to go into Home Depot and put tater tots in PVC.
That's a little big. I think it would be better going with the smaller and dealing with that.
Okay.
Attempting to figure out some sort of wadding system to be able to fit in there.
Right.
So I think we can just shave down some bullets.
All right.
Just right.
Perfect.
Some electrical plug things, some of the Schrader valves to be able to transfer the air pressure from the pumps to the storage PVC. 4 of the 3/4 inch pipes, 4 of the bigger ones.
Okay.
So these are some of the PVC pipe sizes we're going to be able to use to store the PSI to launch the tater tots, in theory. electric solenoid valves. So reading some of the reviews on this one, it looked like it's going to work okay because somebody else used it. I use this as an air shooter and it works. So I guess it's approved.
Great.
For what we need.
And then a whole box full of lovely PVC parts. And then we got a couple different kinds of paint, a gold and a gunmetal grayish. So Brian wanted it to be Western / steampunk. So I got some colors that I think would be a good start with that. And then of course a bunch of different PVC parts and then tools and glue and stuff like that. Now I want to start test fitting some of these to see if it will somewhat fit together, maybe?
Okay.
Maybe? Let's work from the tip of the barrel back towards the stock. So this is the connection I'm thinking right here with one pipe going out. So I am cutting a piece that's just long enough to fit inside of here.
Yep.
And also inside of here.
Okay.
And this doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna cut another one of these. I do love these PVC cutters. I did cut the tip of my finger off using a pair, but
Oh.
that's a story for a different day. So I'm not gonna snug these up all the way. I just kind of want to get them close.
Yep.
So I can tear them back apart here in a little bit. There's the barrels.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't want that pointed at me knowing that there are frozen tater tots in the
Right.
other end of it.
I don't think they cut that very straight from the factory.
Doesn't look like it.
Be fine. Jeff, we need 2 more of these. Okay, so I meant to grab 4 of these. We grabbed 2. So what I'm thinking is 2 barrels coming into a T right here.
Yep.
Then we will have the valve right here that opens up the air from this chamber. So we will have 2 chambers. So I may end up having to do, instead of doing 2 side by side, because that's kind of awkward.
That looks like it would be.
Although right there, it's not bad. Down a little lower. That's actually not too bad. I think we may
Small
start
teeth.
with that and we can adjust it from there.
Sure.
Because like up in your arm, it's too thick, but down here, it actually feels pretty good. It gives you actually something to hold on to. Here's my real concern right this second. Besides all of it working, you see this bend right here?
Yes.
This bend right here, creates more friction and slowing down of the air than just straight through here. So I'm afraid this tater tot is gonna fire really fast, and this tater tot either not firing at all or firing slower.
Okay.
That is my first concern. So what I wanted to have is a spot for the air compressor to attach and also gauges.
Okay.
So we ordered gauges yesterday, big 4.5 inch, so that way we can see how much pressure's in there, and I think it's gonna look cool, a little bit more steampunky like Brian was looking. And so that will connect this through this with these little metal adapters here. So this is a 1/2 inch threaded metal piece that goes into a 1/4 inch NPT size. So we can screw that into there. And that's how we will attach the Schrader valve, 1/4 inch Schrader valve. So this is a normal valve that you find on your tire or bicycle. What I don't have right now is I ordered a little piece. It's basically a Y off of here. So that way we can have the Schrader valve off to the side of it and then the gauge coming up off top. But that comes in later today, so we'll have to test that later. So for now, I'm just gonna put that in there just so we don't lose it. So what I'm missing here, Jeff, is a piece to get down from the 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe size down to a 1 inch. I have a piece that gets it some of the way there, but then I would need a threaded, a lot of words to say as we're missing a piece. I'd like to add some wood features to this. A wooden handle that kind of supports these evenly. So think of a stock or a grip right here, and then maybe has a support beam that kind of just holds that up where it keeps all that together.
Ooh, I like that idea a lot.
Maybe a piece of wood in between where I think the batteries are gonna go to somewhere up in here. So just some piece of wood back here, just once again kind of give it a Western / steampunk feel to it. Oh God. You gotta go behind the set. Wish me luck.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
That was a close one.
Scary every time I go back there. All right, here we go. So this is supposed to go up to above 100 PSI, which is more than what you're gonna want for this. So now I wanna disassemble this and see what it looks like on the inside, because I don't wanna use all this plastic nonsense.
Right.
Jeff, wish me luck. Oh God, oh yeah.
Hold.
Found a football.
Throwing stuff at me.
Bought a nice bit set, but I can't find it.
Oh.
Jeff, I'm going to have to make another trip behind. Starting to get sweaty. Oh, God.
Stay safe, Corey.
Man, that was close. I needed a skinnier screwdriver.
Oh. Oh.
That was a little bit more aggressive than I wanted. Okay.
Is that piece that flew over here important?
No, I don't think so. There's a lot more moving parts inside of here than I was anticipating.
Oh.
Compressor?
That was I don't know what I was expecting, but that's definitely different from it.
There's definitely some grinding gears. I mean, I kind of like it. It's not exactly steampunk because it's electric, but see, I've got this little piece right here. It's a metal tab that's actually holding the wires in place. So I might have to slide that little tab off of there.
Gotcha.
Or just break the little tab. Not needed.
Perfect.
Probably. Probably not needed.
Whenever you ask me if I want to see something terrifying, it actually terrifies me.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Oh. Oh, my God. That is pretty cool.
Look at that little steampunky thing. If that's not steampunk, I don't know what is. Watch that little pump.
Yep.
So this fan is just to keep everything cool because this little pump, this little motor will get real hot. Also, I'm thinking about just cutting this off. I'm not sure we need a digital gauge. So somewhere in here, we're gonna have triggers. So we gotta find a way to be able to mount these. So this is supposed to squeeze up against something else.
Okay.
So you're supposed to drill a hole through a little piece of sheet metal or something.
Yep.
So that maybe what we have to do is find a little piece of, maybe that'll work. There's some aluminum pieces in a hardware store that already have holes pre-drilled. So maybe we find a thin piece of that we can use, because we can either glue or screw or zip tie it to the bottom of the gun and have these stick through.
All right.
So that's not bad. But
Sure.
This is some of like the final, not final touches, but like once we get all the PVC glued together and everything,
Yep.
that's when we can start actually focusing on this, because we don't know the spacing of the gun, how wide it's going to be, how thick, where the placement of this we want. So there's no sense in designing those pieces yet. So this is a trigger, like a momentary switch, just like our paddle one is, where it doesn't click on and stay on. You have to keep it mashed down.
Okay.
So all we're going to do is replace this switch with this right here.
Okay.
That's it.
Gotcha.
So that way we can just click this on.
Yep.
So now I just need to kind of design how to hold it.
Ooh.
That looks pretty cool, right?
Ooh.
That's pretty sick.
Yes. It's already looking like it's going to look way more cool than we thought.
Right?
Back at the hardware store, and I am getting some tape. I was also thinking we were going to need a push rod to push the tater tots down into the barrels. I'm thinking a 5/8 stick. Also found something else that would work perfect, I think, for the grip for the shotgun. Handrail. And check that out. It's like the perfect shape and size as a shotgun grip. So I'm gonna grab it, and then I get to cut it on that station right there. And I'm gonna pick up some
these planks in a couple random sizes. Just to have a couple pieces to work with when we actually start building it. So that one and that one. It's fate. Jeff,
Corey,
I went shopping and I bought more stuff.
we needed it.
The parts that we were missing from yesterday.
Yes.
I ended up getting some stain for the wood. I was gonna go a little darker, but when I saw the name on this one,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
gun stock
That's perfect.
color, right? So I was like, how do we not use gun stock? I got this for the triggers. Basically, we'll cut those out to be just the right size that we can slip this inside of that hole there.
Right.
And then they'll just hang inside of there. So then we can use this to strap it to the bottom of the gun.
Oh, yeah.
And we can also use this to also do the same thing, like if we need more straps, things to hold things together.
Yep.
So we'll see how long we want it and that kind of stuff, but I think we're gonna try to channel this out right here. But that would be the handle for the bottom of the gun. But isn't that a perfect shape?
That is a perfect shape.
Yeah. So this is like a stair rail. So as you're going up the stairs,
Oh, right, right, right.
monster gate,
Oh, yes.
massive 1-inch solenoids. Got it. I got it right there, roughly. Put those in there. One in here. Slide that in there. Put that one there. Slide that one in there. Jeff, you've got strong enough hands.
I probably don't.
Yeah, that'll work.
Looks good.
Woo! Woo! So let's put that on there.
That's gonna be pretty sweet.
Those are
Those are-
in the way. The thing I'm trying to design in this is I'd love to be able to separate the two halves of the gun. So that way we show it off as a whole monstrosity,
Yep.
and then we have some little brackets that or little hooks that we unclip, and then we get to hand one to like Jason and one to Brian.
Oh, I like that idea a lot.
It's together,
To form a single, unit.
single massive unit.
Yep.
But overall, I like this design because it keeps all of the control parts on the bottom and gives us some extra space here so it looks more cohesive. So I like this extra space that this provides us. So I like that. So I like everything from here forward. And then here we'll adjust this to being angled to the side a little bit, like that. Same thing with this one.
So what do we got here?
Purple PVC primer. And then the glue, the cement.
Okay.
So we start with a little bit of primer. Fudge. Fudge. Maybe. Hopefully I don't have to go get the real pliers. Oh yeah.
Oh, dang.
Just a little tapping. There's a little secret for you. You get strong enough hands. Oh man. The trick does work. Good lord. This just makes the glue stick a lot better. Some of that excess glue. Whip, 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 whip. This half of the gun is less important to get totally, completely crazy sealed as the back half. The back half is what's holding all the pressure, so we'll need to be very mindful that we're using the correct amount of glue, doing everything the proper way.
The proper way, what's that?
I don't know, but we should probably find out. Take that, give it a twist. When you're pushing on, you twist and you hold it. That makes sure that all the glue gets evenly spread out along the inside, as well as giving that just a little bit of twist when you push it on.
Okay. Yep.
Push down in there.
I was just thinking, whoo, should we be doing this in a well-ventilated area?
Yes, there we are.
I mean, just aesthetically, it kind of looks maybe a little far out.
Okay. How about that?
That looks pretty good, actually.
Is there a steampunk laser pointer? You like strap like a laser pointer at the bottom. It's just straight lines, so I know to line them up. Because when I start taking these apart, I have to take them apart and then glue them. So how do I know where to get it aligned again? I'm gonna take and make a mark. Mark. So the blue dots we need to line up. Let's give it a twist. Blue line. Hold it.
Nicely done.
So now it's time for some of the tape. So this is for liquids and also air pressure, which is what we have. The trick with this is to wind the tape in the correct direction, that when you screw this on, it doesn't undo the tape. So it's this way. And I don't know how much is the right amount. Yeah, we'll find out if it's not. Luckily, that's an easy fix.
It's the finding out if it's not part that worries me.
It'll just leak out slow. It's not gonna blast off or anything.
Gotcha.
Same thing with this one. Yep. We're getting pretty close to bottoming out there. There we go. This one next, same way.
Oh, yeah. That's
Right. Okay, now we move on to this side. I hope that's enough because I don't want to do any more. I think that's it. The last thing is to connect the back half to the front half using some more PVC glue. So time to hit it with the purple. So we have to work pretty quick on this half, this piece right here. Squishing it together. Making sure all the angles look good. Well, there we go. There's an assembled first half. I guess it's time to start on the next one. Give it a little twist and a hold. Twist and hold. Glue. Twist this one on. Twist and hold. I think I might need to go just a hair more out. Yeah, see,
Oh, that
one's
one's
out.
definitely more out. Yep.
Yeah.
That looks closer, at least.
I think I'm just gonna mark it there. I like it. Time to line up our dots. Hold! Now let's hit this with some glue. I think I glued myself.
You did. You've got your hairs kind of sticking out there a little.
How much did I do?
Ooh.
Did I glue myself good? It's dangerous work.
So I'm glad you're doing it.
This is the side we have to do somewhat quick so we can make sure and get it straight. Looks pretty good. So now I think it's time to tape up, do the tape jobs on these.
Yep. Strong hands, Corey. You got it.
Nope. Woo!
That looked much easier.
Good Lord.
Well, these points I'm gonna expect you to start yelling like tennis players do.
Yeah. Working hard.
That's right.
Roll this one up. Yeah, yep. Yep. My dad would probably tell me like, hey man, it's brass and plastic. You probably should calm down on the strength meter. You can go ahead and primer the other sides as well. Okay, get some in there. So this is the part we got to watch out for and make sure we got going in the right direction. Squeeze it. Wipe off the extra glue. And glue the other side. This will be the tricky one to get lined up. Feels pretty good, I think. Tape up this end, and we'll have the first round pretty well good to go of the taping and gluing. I'm gonna attempt to kind of hold them side by side.
Oh, kind of excited to see what that looks like. Not kind of, I am excited to see what that looks like.
Shabam.
It's kind of funny, at this point it kind of looks like a weird insect head.
I think it looks pretty cool, man.
It does, it does. It still doesn't have the little compressors or stock on it?
No, there's still lots of pieces. And right now the weight is heavy, but it's not unmanageable.
Okay.
We're gonna add a fair amount of more weight to it.
I
though.
was gonna say.
It's actually not too bad back here.
Well, what if we just pressurized it just a little bit? Just a little bit.
Tiny bit.
Little bit.
So it airs up real fast.
And it holds.
Yeah, it seems to hold really well. All right, let's see if it does it.
Ooh!
And I made it in the,
Right in the bucket.
one in each.
Oh, no way.
One
No.
in each. Look, one in that one. And one in that one.
Heck, that couldn't have been a better test.
Oh, it could have been a better test.
Now that part one is done, Corey,
Yep.
what will we be moving on to here at the next stage?
How do we want to attach the compressors? And also, where do we want the batteries for the compressors? We're gonna make a stock for it. Also triggers. Try to kind of figure out where we want to actually attach the trigger points. Now it's time just to stare at it for a little bit.
Yep.
All right, we'll be back.
Ooh.
Woo!
What are we doing today, Corey?
Jeff, up to now, very straightforward, really. To be honest, it's a bunch of gluing stuff together and tightening things down. Now is when we're gonna have to get a little creative and attempt to start designing some cool features on top of this, and also doing some of the hard things like attaching things to PVC pipes, which usually doesn't happen in real life. You know what I mean? It's not a common thing to...
They're not designed to have things attached to them.
No, not really. It's really going to be kind of experimenting, so I hope you enjoy coming on a journey with me of trying to figure this out. For this, we're not going to use this little adapter here. This is what connects it to the battery. So I'm just going to snip that guy off right there. I'm going to leave the wires along right this second, just in case we need them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to slip this little gauge off of here. So now we can set that aside. We won't use that. Won't use that either. Risk of bruising? Really?
That.
No. Bursting. Oh, like a tire
Oh, okay.
or a tank.
Okay.
All right, let's get this one disassembled. Here we get the wires out. There we go. We will do the same thing as we did with the last one and just cut the wires off of this. Got it. I think when we actually take this off right here, you see how this tube, all it is plastic right there, so I think we just shoot some plastic epoxy down in that tube. No sense in having a little floppy thing dangling around. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to take it off both of them?
Yep.
Okay. Are you in essence saying that that's an unused part?
Yes. And so that was a little tube that flowed to the gauge to tell how much air pressure there was.
Oh, I gotcha.
Now we don't need that gauge anymore because we're using our own.
Yep.
But this will leak air out of our system if we don't plug that hole.
Gotcha.
So we have to plug this hole with something that's a little oily. So I may have to figure out a way to get it cleaned up a little bit so the epoxy will stick to it. And I bought a bunch of different sizes of a bunch of different things. A couple 3/4, inch and 1/4. Well, apparently they've got some of these for the exact size. I think I was actually looking at some of the electrical ones. So I'm gonna pick up a couple different sizes of these. So now I'm looking for latches. Those brass ones look good, I think. Okay, the first thing is a little strap. And what I like about this is it's a clamp, so we can clamp the whatever we use, a pipe or this metal motor here. Also, it's got a spot where you can mount a screw into. So we could screw this into a board.
Great.
How well does it fit around there? That one is too big.
Yep.
So that's pretty close, 1.25 inches. That might work. Apparently I didn't buy the exact size we need. But that 1.25 inches will do us definitely good enough to see, and I can just swap it out anytime with just removing 2 screws. So I think we're gonna continue on with using the 1.25 inches.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and epoxy up the 2 pumps. So we have 2 different types of epoxy we're using today. One is a plastic bonder, good for melding plastic to other things. So I'll use this to pookie up the hole there to stop the air from leaking out of that. Also gluing some of the plastic to the wood if we start attaching some of the wood pieces on there. I think this is what's gonna hold pretty well, along with a wood repair epoxy putty. So first they were out of the true PVC one I wanted of the stick. This is an epoxy stick, but this one actually has a higher PSI rating. So this one is 2,450 PSI, and it sets faster than the plastic one.
Okay.
So I think it's gonna work as good or even better.
When you say epoxy stick, do you mean like a glue stick, basically? It's epoxy?
Close. Think of it more of like a fruit roll-up
Okay.
with a layer in between to keep the 2 different components apart. So it's 2 different layers. So it's the activator in one sheet and then the glue in the other.
Okay.
So when you mix them, you roll them together and you mix them and you actually knead them like a little dough, and it blends it together, and then it makes a super strong putty
Gotcha.
that dries typically pretty dang hard. Don't think I need a lot for this particular application. And then mix it. Now I'm just mashing some of it in the little end of the hole there to plug it up. And let's look at this one. It's already starting to thicken up a little bit, so that's good. This one, I'm afraid I might have stress fractured. I don't think so. I'm not worried about it exploding. It wouldn't necessarily explode, it'd just leak, and I'd rather it not just leak.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put some of this on there just to be sure.
Right.
I'll put some on the other side just to even it out as well. You pinch off some. It needs to be kneaded,
It needs to be kneaded.
and I'm here to
Fulfill that need?
fill that need. I didn't immediately see gloves on the instructions, but now that I'm messing with it, I wanted to hit it with a little bit of sandpaper real quick to help it stick.
How?
It creates so PVC plastic is very slick,
Okay.
and so when you try to attach something to it, it just does nothing to grab a hold of. So if you rough it up with a little bit of sandpaper and then clean it off, then it makes it much easier for whatever you're trying to stick to PVC to actually stick, like paint or glue.
Gotcha.
Looking pretty good. It smells like, I don't know, like a sad catfish. Yeah. It looks a little janky, just like an old Western shotgun should. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hands though, because that's probably not good. Up here in the middle, that seems to be where they want to pull apart because of these 2 heavy gauges and these 2 valves. I think I'm gonna put a zip tie in the middle just to keep them from totally flopping open.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of barrels in between there. I'm gonna test out some of these 1.25 inches just to see what it looks like when I snap them on here and here.
Oh.
So now what I'm thinking is running bolts through there,
Yep.
wing nuts.
Yep.
That's not bad. I'd love to have this to be able to be a quick break in half, where you just flip a couple latches, but it's difficult because it's 2 round objects that you're trying to hold together that will want to slip. So if we had something square, you could just butt them together and it's hard for them to move around. 2 round ones, they constantly want to twist like this.
Okay.
See, I like that pretty good too. So what I did is I flipped these up.
Yep.
So now I actually can mount a board right there, just like that. And what that would allow us to do is have a platform for the batteries to sit on.
Does that make it pretty complicated to separate the two, though?
Depends. Actually, what I'm thinking about is moving these apart a little bit, like this,
Okay.
and then having just these 2 mount to this one, and it goes across this one, but it doesn't mount to this one. Same thing on this one, where we screw it to on this side, and it goes across this way. So we have a larger platform that still separates out like a puzzle piece. They sit like that,
Yep.
and then we can still just break them apart.
Right.
And then it also gives us the opportunity to do the latching system, like I was thinking actually.
Oh,
'Cause
like
what I'm
the,
actually
jar,
thinking
the
about
jar
doing-
lid thing?
We may be getting somewhere, Jeff.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think we might be. I think we might be getting somewhere. We have this laying across it like that.
Okay.
So this ties it to that one.
I gotcha.
So it's like a latch. Latch it over. And we do this on both sides, top and bottom.
Okay.
So we click, click. I like that a lot.
Good.
Oh. Maybe I have an idea. Flexible metal strap. So we wrap it around the battery and wrap it around the wood plank and put screws in the back to hold it.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Now I'm going to zip tie this back end right here just to keep everything together from falling apart on me. So now let's look at these boards. So that is 5 5/8. Let me hold the gun up to see where that lands. I'm latched in over there.
It's in the vise.
Gets heavy out here holding it this far back. So now I'm thinking about redesigning a little bit in order to be able to put the weight closer to you. Because I want to be able to more grab it up here. Now I'm thinking, do we push the batteries all the way to the back?
Just purely to counter a lot
Yep.
of that. Because there's even more weight that's going to go up there with holding the barrels together with the wood and
Yep.
the
And then the-
handle and the little compressor things.
Compressor motors. Yep.
Yep.
I think that actually feels pretty good right here. Closer to actually 5 1/2 back here. So let's actually start cutting some boards. 5 1/2. Let's take from the other side and cut 5 1/2.
Good luck. You can do it, Corey.
No,
I believe in you.
Oh my God. No. Oh yeah, here we go. Found it.
Oh, goodness.
Gonna use a chop saw to chop some of these down. So it seems I want them to be exactly 5 1/2 inches. I'm gonna cut on the long side of the board.
Okay.
Something looked funny. One of my measurements was wrong.
Ooh.
Let's see which one it is. It was that one. 5 1/4, not 5 1/2.
Oh, gotcha.
Measure twice and cut once. For a cleaner cut in general, but in particular with this poplar wood, going slower
Oh.
is much better. Especially when your blades, you don't know when the last time they were replaced.
Is there a general rule is like
Good.
faster if it's harder, faster if it's softer?
Slower always for everything. One caveat to that is sometimes if you go too slow, you can burn the wood. So the saw will just sit there and turn.
Okay.
So it can burn the wood. But as thin as this is, it's not going to burn. Clean the workbench. this with just a little bit of the sandpaper to keep me from getting splinters. We'll do a bunch more sanding. Maybe that'll bite me less. Like that, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, yep. And then that one will sit like that.
Might be on the right track here, Corey.
Put 2 on either side now that I have more than I was thinking. Like that. That way you have the room to unclip both. Click, click. Also thought about doing it like that.
Is there enough surface area to lay them on their bottoms or no?
Like this?
Yeah.
I mean, not really with the latches. Regardless of what we do to the batteries, I think I want to go ahead and try to screw some of these in. Little number 8 1/2-inch screws, brass to make them look cool.
Pretty.
Very pretty. Let's test the length.
Ooh.
Gonna be close. So I want to find the center of this board here. So 1.74. And 1.75. So I want to pre-drill these so they don't crack the boards.
Oh, gotcha.
And luckily, since this is gonna be on the inside, this is gonna be covered up, so I'm not too worried about seeing if I accidentally poke through just a little bit with the drill bit or the screw.
Gotcha.
Actually do the bottom one first. That way I can see what the heck I'm doing. Screwing it down. I'm gonna do 1 screw at one time and 1 at the other. There we go. So that's the back half. Now we need to cut a couple for the front because we need another 5 1/2. Now we gotta get back to chopping. Yep. Time to drill those out. There we go. I think I'm gonna leave that one just a little bit looser so I might be able to move it if I need to. Finally figuring out a way to move them. So we got a nice little platform there.
Does look like a nice little platform.
One, if we had infinite time and we had a machine that could make things infinitely light, I would build a full box around the batteries. But I don't think that's necessarily practical for weight reasons and also time and really for the payoff of would it actually make it a better build if we had a wooden box around these. And so we still have these platforms. So I'm thinking about putting sticky Velcro on the bottom of each.
Right.
And on the board. So now they just mount there and you can rip them off and take them to go because we still want to be able to use these batteries for our real tools.
Yeah.
So I think the first measurement I want to grab is halfway on this elbow to halfway on this elbow. That will give us the center of where the barrel should be. 3 1/4. Now what am I going to do with that information, Jeff?
Use it to figure out how far up or into the board that you need to drill the holes.
That sounds like a great idea. I'm glad you thought of it.
Thanks.
Also, I seen if you were coming up with a cleverer idea than me. So I'm doing is kind of eyeballing the width between the 2 barrels. I'm going to mark the center of this pipe here. And that will give me a measurement of where to drill the holes. And so now what I also need is how tall I want this board, how much I want it to stick up and stick down. Somewhere along in there. Just eyeballing it. What we do around here, we just eyeball it. We use these. We look at things. We make decisions on the things we see with our eyes.
I felt weird every time you used the tape measure. It was.
That's just for the internet, man. let's kind of figure out how much we want sticking out here. I'm thinking something like that. So that's how much thickness I want on the other side of the barrel. Don't zoom in too tight on this one. This one's a little dangerous. This cut's a little dangerous. Don't try this one at home, kids. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. The danger in that one was that's about the max thickness that saw can cut. So
Oh.
I think it's a little thicker on this end than down here. And that's
Yeah,
fine. It's good.
It's probably fine.
Look about 1 inch. ID. No. OD. Outside diameter. So we're gonna start off with a 1 inch paddle bit. I know every time I say paddle bit, half the people are like, yeah, another half of people are like, no, it's a spade bit or something, I don't know.
Huh.
This I would like to be somewhat precise. I'm gonna have to actually use some measurement tools. 3 1/4, right?
3 1/4.
Let's see.
You wrote it down. Ooh, see?
My 2 center dots.
See him. Yep.
There and right there. So now let's drill those out. Typically what I'll do is I'll actually put a piece of tape on the back so it doesn't mar it up too much, but we got a good hole.
We do.
So now let's actually see if it actually fits one of these. Nope. I kind of figured that we'd be doing some
Additional
wallering.
waller.
This is like a drill bit, except it's all waller. It's like a full waller bit. Pretty close. I think we might just sand the rest of that. Yeah. If I do any more, it's going to start making it too wide
big.
on the outside.
It's not a bad hole.
Not a bad hole. Yeah.
Look at that.
Okay. There we go.
Hot damn.
Think you got an idea. We had so much fun doing this one that we're going to do it again, plus the other side.
Plus the other side.
I made a flaw on this side that I want to fix
Okay.
by making it again.
Oh, I got you.
Matching the edge up of this board, giving me a straight line there and a straight line here. All you gotta do is cut that, Jeff. See all that? Just cut that.
It's that simple.
That's simple. So I'm attempting to find the centers of these little circles that we drew.
Mm-hmm.
Seems how we pretty much went all the way through with this one. I think I'm gonna do the same. Just use this drill bit all the way through. We'll see. We'll see how we do.
Ooh.
See? Getting better. Now we gotta switch saws. I think I'm gonna use a metal bit on this just because this wood is so fine and soft. I don't think I
Okay.
want to use my big wood bit because it chews it up too much. Had to bring some of my personal tool.
Getting serious in here.
See this line here
Yep.
and this line here?
Yep.
So I want to cut from this line and stop at that line.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cut from here to there and cut out. So basically, I'm cutting out this corner right here. I want this corner
Okay.
done.
Yep.
If somebody would have mounted this thing, it'd be a lot better. janky.
Just a little bit.
Na 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 na.
Tetris.
We gotta do a little more wallering.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right? They're gonna be staggered. There's gonna be another one that goes on this side
Yep.
that's faced the same. And then we're gonna do is we're gonna drill a hole through here and through here. Then we'll be able to use a wing nut and a bolt on either side to clamp those two together. And that will keep them from twisting and still be able to separate them out.
Okay.
So now we just need to take this and draw it on the board. And
Gotcha.
Make the second one. There.
Oh, caught yourself that time. God.
Is that the thumbnail?
Jesus. That's scary.
Also, a jigsaw or bandsaw or coping saw would be what you'd actually use here. Jeff,
Yes?
if we were German,
Yes?
we'd be good enough, I think is the phrase.
I hope that's not the phrase so you can get made fun of in the comments, but what is it supposed to mean?
We're good enough. We're good enough.
Oh, for God's sake.
Got him. Nailed it. Slide this piece on here and that one on there. Get up in there. Oh, baby, just like a puzzle. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jeff. I've been pretty janky up to this point, but you gotta admit, that's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Now, these aren't necessarily going to be all identical down on this end, correct? Like, they don't look symmetrical exactly? I mean, the barrels themselves, like the openings of the barrels.
They're just not gonna be.
Because it's PVC?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's also a shotgun, so I'm not worried about being precise here. We're launching 4 rounds, you know?
Oh, yep. Good point.
So if we were super concerned, we might build another set of these to be down there at the end as well,
Oh, yeah, that puts them way
you know.
more even. Yep.
So I had Jeff mark the lines right here and right here, the edges. So that way I know that's roughly where I want it. So now I can match these up just like I did right here, line everything up, and then drill through for the bolts.
Oh,
So
okay.
now I know where I want everything.
Right,
to be.
right.
3/8 inch. Okay. Ha! Wanted to get a longer bolt because I was actually planning for it to be a thinner piece than what we used. It'll still hold it in place for me to be able to drill. Still funny.
It doesn't take the additional holes don't take away from it, for sure.
Nope. So we'll have those stacked. And then we'll just be able to undo that right quick to
Nice.
separate out the two different guns. Let's take a quick measurement of how long the bolts I do need to get. Probably 1 inch, more than 1 inch, but I think that's gonna be an inch. Yeah, so that's an inch thick. So, 1.5 inches, 2 inches.
It's a neat little on-the-fly invention there, Corey.
Yeah, yep, that worked out pretty good. So now we kind of need to think about the air compressors.
Yes.
If you were an air compressor, where would you be? Where to mount these death machines? I like them to stay on top so it stays away from your hands. They got to stay roughly within this distance, ideally. Problem is having it symmetrical. Like, I don't mind having it right here. Actually, let's slip our collars on there. See what I mean about having them symmetrical? They're not going to both fit because the gun is not wide enough.
Yep.
I mean, that's cool.
I like that idea a lot.
How do we make them stay here? I kind of also like it because it gets the fan and the gears out of the way of
Yep.
this as well. That's not bad. As far as practicality, it's a lot easier.
Right, but how do you, if it's mounted to the thing that's attaching the guns, you can't slide it down the barrel if it's permanently attached, right?
These aren't sliding down the barrel. These will always stay here. See, we'll look at them separate. So you'll undo these two wing nuts.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
Yep, and so they will stay apart.
Okay.
I kind of like that quite a bit because we can set it right there, get it good and tight, and then put a screw in right there.
I gotcha.
Yeah, put a screw in the bottom, keep it from sliding down. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good idea.
I'm glad that I had it.
Me too, thank goodness. What about the correct size of that? Like that.
Ooh. It looks like it could work.
I think this thing might look a little cooler, but I don't know if I trust it to hold. I don't know, tough decision. That's nice and easy, and it's less janky. I think what I'm gonna do is when I go to the hardware store, I'll take this with me and just make sure it clamps hard.
Yep.
'Cause I need it to clamp.
Oh, that's right, because that one was just a little bit.
Yeah, it's two, yeah, this one's, because I think this is an inch, this is 1.25 inches. And so you can see how much room I have in there.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, see, so it won't stay in there at all, no matter how tight I clamp it. Versus the next size smaller, I think, will. Okay, Jeff, I think that's gonna be a good pausing spot for today.
I'm glad that it's together. Mm-hmm. It did seem like doing a lot for you
Very
know.
little. It's a whole lot of work for very little.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, this was the hard part.
Yep. I see why this is the one that you were not wanting to.
Yeah, well, just designing it, you know.
Yep.
Which is what I like to do, but I knew this would be the painful part and this is the part that I hope people enjoy or one of the parts I hope people enjoy, because this is actually like for real figuring it out, you know, versus, you know, attempting to design something forever. And
Yep.
this is, I like it to be no, just get in your garage and try to figure it out.
Yeah. Yep. It's nice to just look at it as one thing now.
Yeah. All right, day 4,000 of this build. So just been shopping, some more shopping,
Exciting.
more shopping. So one is I found these fantastic clippies that are gonna hold our motors onto that bad boy.
Nice.
I got some long, thin bolts to hold those on. Just a minute. Some washers?
Washers.
Washers? No?
I hate it so much.
So what I think I'm gonna do is actually clamp these two together with some wing nuts and those bolts. Oh. Now that I'm looking back, I'm actually pretty lucky I got it that good. So we can give a little wing nut on that one. So now we need to find a drill bit that's at least half that long, but preferably at least that length.
And how thick again?
That thick right there. Yep. Because I need to be fairly precise with this. So typically when you're drilling through this long of a piece of wood or thick of a piece of wood, you want to clear your drill bit. It'll get clogged up with the little cutouts there.
Okay.
And it'll stop drilling well, and it'll start overheating and stuff, start burning the wood. If you have really good drill bits, they clear pretty well, but it also depends on the kind of wood you're drilling through. Give me just a little waller while we're here. Because I think we're going to have to go to the next size up. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and drill out with these anyways, and then we'll figure the next part out in a second. Want to see if you can see it poke through the side, Jeff? There we go.
There it is. It was oddly satisfying.
I'm going to switch to the next size up drill bit. Don't do this to drill bits you like. Or that you don't mind buying new ones for. I mean, don't let me tell you what to do or not to do. Because I'm certainly not going to have you tell me what to do or not to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get these somewhat prepped. Actually, I'm just going to put it facing down.
Okay. Oh.
That way, maybe it won't be a problem.
Yep.
Slide it through that guy. Slide that one through there. Jeff, what's that over there?
Oh! Caught you. What are you doing here exactly?
Well, the bolt is somewhat stuck in there,
Oh.
so I'm just pounding it down through because I don't want a waller anymore.
Right.
The next drill bit size up is too big.
Gotcha.
So, and then this is in the way, so I can't just hammer it in, so I'm having to like get janky with it. Oh, we're getting close. I like that one person, Jeff. There was one person out there who was like, it's a screw, just screw it in. You don't have to hammer it. The sun's getting real low. So I put the nut on that side, a little bit of washer. Now we can tighten it up. And I forgot we can't have that thing facing down because it's sitting like that, so that sticker will have to be...
Oh, removed it at some point?
Or painted over, whatever, you know. All right, time for the next one. See if I can cheat a little bit. Yep. Well, can't say I don't learn. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa. God.
Wasn't expecting that
Man,
again.
I wasn't. I
Got him
wasn't.
with the little ears and everything.
That caught me off guard. Oh, God.
Dope.
Yes.
So this is clipped together with a little bolt on one side and a nut on the other. So you squish that together, and as it tightens up, it squeezes it together. I think I'm gonna line it up using a couple markers. You see that hole right there?
Yep.
I'm gonna use that to basically line it up to these little points here, just so I can have something to match it to the other side.
Oh, gotcha.
Because the way it's attached to the board, it can spin a little bit like this,
Okay.
but it feels pretty tight and I can tighten it up a little bit more, so I feel okay about that actually right now.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
That's nasty. Okay. I kind of want to work on this backside for a minute because it's all wompy-jawed and bothering me.
Yep.
So one of the solutions I was thinking about for this one is using the same kind of bolt and wing nut combination to hold these together. Okay, I want to get these lined up the best I can. And then I want to drill through one corner down to the other. Super dull drill bit. Jesus. It won't even drill through wood, it's so dull. Okay, so what we have to do now is go to a smaller drill bit that does work and then maybe switch to that one. Yikes. Okay. There we go. Now maybe we can switch to this one. Maybe it'll be enough to grab. Oh, gee, somebody used this on stone. I can still see the stone on it. This is not a stone drill bit. Let's see, does that fit? That'll work. I'm told people like to see the waller.
Some people just like to hear it said.
That's fair. Do the same thing on this side. Nope. Long drill bit. Down in that corner somewhere. Okay. Oh, forgot to waller these out. And I think what you'll find neat about this is it will sandwich these two together so they can't be twisting on us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, damn. Does it feel pretty stable too? I mean, for the most part.
Yes. Oh, it feels very stable. Like it's tight now.
Yep.
It is very secure. It's not going anywhere. That back there totally fixed it. These hoses, I think we will do some sort of wraparound maybe.
Okay.
Kind of depends on where that is. Maybe we just have them hanging loose too. It might look cool. So now I think we're getting to the point where we can start looking at triggers, but also the grip. I just had a bad idea with the grip.
What's that?
Maybe a couple bad ideas. Maybe a couple bad ideas flashed. Because there's the right tool for the job, and then there's the tools that I have around me. And so what I'd like to do is mount this underneath here as a grip on each side. But I need to cut a groove out of this side to be able to ideally snug it up against the barrel.
But we don't have the tool to make that happen here with us currently.
We don't have the proper tool.
Well,
I don't know if I want these to be too much further out because it's going to start getting heavy on me.
okay.
So probably not much more than that, I think.
Well, how far can you go out?
There.
If it were me, that's probably where I'd put it, or thereabouts anyway.
Okay.
That looks good. I mean, that way too, even from a look standpoint, you don't dump all of the mechanics in one place. They're kind of spread out a little bit.
I mean, it's better support for the barrels. So
Yep.
I think that's pretty good. Let's give it a little mark on the barrel so we have some sort of idea.
Yep.
Then let's see how many inches that roughly is. So that is roughly, let's say 11 inches. Ooh, but this ought to be shorter because of, we got them stacked. These two pieces are on different levels. I need to make them different lengths. One will be a little shorter than the other one.
Oh.
Or not, and it'll just be off a little bit, but. All right, now that I know, I'm going to have to be a little bit more precise here, everybody. So, 11 and 11.5. We need to make a third gun. Kind of mark how thick it is, you know, how much I need to cut out. rough starting lines, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I say we pause for a minute and go grab the other motor while
Okay.
I contemplate the choices I'm about to make. Okay, everybody. Day,
It is the 4th, isn't it?
no, technically it's the 5th. So yesterday where we left off was trying to figure out the way to cut out the grooves of this and not die or lose hands in the process without the proper tools. How I would do this at my house would probably either use a table saw, and you just set the correct depth for the table saw blade. You set it on the table and run it through several times at the correct heights, and then kind of sand it out. That would be one way to do it. Another way is a router. So set up a router and just run it down. There's probably other brilliant ways to do it. None of those of which we have. And so I was coming up with some pretty elaborate ways to do it, reasonably safe, and ended up calling my dad, and I was like, yo, Dad. He's like, what up, though? And I'm like, hey, man, that's really weird for you to say what up, though, but that's cool, I respect it. Said, we have these two pieces. We got to figure out a way to channel them out. And he's like, you got two of them, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he said, you're real dumb. And I said, Dad, you're right, but what's up? And he said, just sandwich them together, man. Just squish them together and use a paddle bit to run down both. Because it's a 1-inch OD, outside diameter, for the 3/4-inch pipe. So use a 1-inch paddle bit or wood bore bit and put them in a vise, squeeze them together, run it down, and you should be able to do it. So we'll probably have to get the extension out to make it where it can go a little further in there.
Yep.
The trick is going to be kind of keeping it straight and not letting it wobble too much. But still, I think this is by far the safest method that we have. So thank Dad.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put some wood blocks on either side so we don't mar up the surface too much. This metal brackets will just squeeze the fire out of this and just stamp it, you know, which we could sand it out, but I'd rather not have to do that. So I think what we want to do there, I'm thinking about actually zip tying these together on the ends just to kind of help hold them together. Mm-hmm. That actually works pretty good. So it seems how we haven't really clamped this vise down. I'm going to put some screws in to hold it from spinning. All right, that'll keep it from twisting on me too much. Yeah, see? Look at there.
Innovation.
What do you think? We're going to be able to do it?
I'm skeptical, but that's because I know nothing.
That's fair. I should probably take a measurement to get center. I'm not going to, but I should. Jeff, if you were doing this, measure to get a center, okay?
Gotcha.
Next time you do this,
Yeah.
get center on it. It's working.
It is working. I stand corrected.
And I'm not too worried about busting out on either side, really, in this case, because A, we have wood epoxy and putty. We can pookie it up. Also, this is a 1-inch bit. I think a 3/4-inch pipe is just a fraction of an inch bigger than 1 inch on the outside. So we're gonna have to sand this out anyways.
Okay.
So if I do any wallering in there, it's gonna be fine. Little smoke coming out of there. We're gonna have a fire in here pretty soon. Well, that's about how far we're in.
Oh, nice.
Let's put the wobbleator on there and just see how bad this is.
The wobbleator. Oh, God.
Tighten that so.
This isn't a rhetorical question, but literally, what is the worst that could happen?
We bust out one of the sides.
Oh, okay.
we need to adjust this other side to be even.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Because I can't drill through, so it's got to be flat.
Yep.
Very sophisticated method. There we go.
That looks nice.
You like my little wood block method, don't you, here, Jeff?
I do. So you starting straight away with the wobbler this time?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we have to use wobbler anymore because the
Oh.
wobbler got us more than half. Oh,
Oh,
that's not what we wanted. Well, we didn't mess anything up, though. That's good.
nothing broke at least?
Nothing broke now. So what I'm going to do is the paddle just forced everything apart.
Okay.
So I'm going to shift everything further in to where this is grabbing them closer to this edge.
To the edge? Okay. Yep.
And give it a little bit more grip. I think we're also hitting a little bit of a knot in the wood as well.
Oh.
Little tough spot. Yeah, definitely. Made it through.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was close, man. That was close.
Just a little bit of sanding. I think we're going to get there. We don't want to have it slide in, but it needs to nestle over this.
Yep. Ooh. That's actually pretty damn good.
Hey.
It really is.
Hey. Thanks, Dad. That was a reasonable idea. So we will have to sand out some more for this thicker part. Get my sander. And I'm going to put some obliterator on there.
Obliterator?
Yeah. 50 grit.
Okay. That's pretty rough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This will remove a lot of material really quick. See how we're doing just on the fit. Oh, better. See how that just fits out on there now?
Oh, yeah.
So now what I want to do is mark where I need to make it wider. Somewhere along in there. Give me a little flexibility. And then 1/2 inch right there. I need to notch out a little bit right there just to make room for the other piece. Getting closer for sure. Let me take this edge off here. What I was really doing is kind of rounding the edges right there,
Uh-huh.
just to make it look more like a gun
Sure.
stock and a little easier on the hands. So now I'm going to try to get this cleaned up a little bit more so we see if we can't fit it around there. Looking good. I think I might have to notch that out actually. Jeff, don't do it like this.
Oh, God.
Don't do it that way.
Oh, my God.
I think it's time for a new sheet. Starting to get eat up a fair amount.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Oh.
That feeling nice?
Jeff, I think that's good enough for government work right there, my friend.
Awesome.
I think what I want to do now is take this thing off. So I think that will work great. Basically do some final bit of touch up on that and then stain it. Same thing with this one, we'll have to sand it down. Luckily, we're not gonna have to notch this side out. So should be a little bit more straightforward. So we'll pick up on the sanding here in a minute, because what I really want to do is get some glue drying on the switches.
Oh, okay.
These are gonna go from the bottom side like that. But one will be glued to one side and one will be glued to the other.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Let's actually kind of hold it and see where further back is better. Okay. That's all we really need to know there. So I want it to be somewhere there. And so the other one needs to start somewhere along in there. Trying to decide if we should split them apart to glue them.
What do you mean?
Split the two guns apart and lay them down flat.
Oh, I got you.
But then I don't know seems how it's a round surface. It's hard to tell
If they're going to be
straight up and down.
symmetrical if you separate them, yeah.
We may start with them together.
See how it goes.
Yeah. The other thing is I had a maybe reasonable idea for the other switches. And so I was trying to decide like where to put them. And these are more metal, so gluing them is more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, right? Cut off a little piece of that and bolt it like this. And then, so this would be up to about here. And so in this hole right here, in this case,
Yep.
that's where we'd put the switch.
Oh,
And so
okay.
it'd be cut off right here.
Yeah.
Reasonable solution, maybe. I may come up with a slightly better idea here in a minute when we start getting going on that, but just so you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking for these. I want to sand these down a little bit so the glue will have a chance of sticking. Definitely wear a mask while you're doing this. If I was doing any more than this, I definitely would. I don't like PVC dust very much.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Little polyvinyl chloride in your lungs. All right, glue time. I don't think we need that because that's just going to get in the way. So let's get rid of the washer and that stuff. Give this a little bit of a buff. Just like me. Just a little buff.
Jesus God.
Let's do this backside first. Put a little bit of peanut butter on there and a little peanut butter in here.
Actually, how long do you have to hold it there before it'll do something on its own?
10 or 15 minutes. So I don't think I'm going to have to hold it there for that long, but that's kind of what I was planning on doing, is squishing them together like that. And I get both of them there. We must tie it together, Jeff, with a zip tie. Don't fall off yet. Don't fall off yet. Oh, yeah. Ooh, there we go. Maybe that'll hold it for long enough I can get the other one on. So this one needs to be taking the little nut off and washer thingy, and it's just going to get in our way. We get a little buffy buff, wipe off the dust, put a little bit of cinnamon butter on this side.
Salmon butter?
Cinnamon butter? Yeah.
Oh, cinnamon butter. They said salmon butter.
I probably did with my sling. Get a little bit of brown butter on there. And that's what I was afraid of. I had a little bit of glue when it was still a little damp come down and touch the trigger, so I had to make sure that was off of that. So I think we pretty much just let that dry. Okay, so I believe these are glued enough that they're certainly not going to go anywhere now. I think 15 minutes to set up, 30 minutes to be sandable. Jeff, are you a mouth opener? Use your mouth to open up everything?
If it's needed. If I don't have to, then I won't.
Refined
It's not my
Jeff.
default.
Refined
Yeah,
Jeff.
that's so refined.
You think the switch having down here or up high? Maybe we do the switch in the middle. So like tie the two barrels together, you know? So it would be like this length. And then we put the switch in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. Yep.
Let me see if that works out with the way the bolt patterns work.
Okay.
Looks like it would. Maybe I stagger them and drill the holes. That would be in the middle. And we could cut up here. So I'd cut there. Let's just give this a shot right quick.
I'm just envisioning sparks and flying metal things.
Nope. See, Jeff?
That was,
Uneventful.
yep, very much so.
Let's go ahead and cut the other one the same length while we're all right here and everything's set up. Typically with this, the only thing I'm really worried about is a bunch of flopping around. And so
Gotcha.
having this clamped in and also being able to support my hand on this keeps everything from moving around too much. Typically I like to mash whatever I'm cutting up against this,
Okay.
but as long as I'm going slow and paying attention and I got a good blade on, it's usually not too much of a problem. Just getting started. So I'm just going good and slow at the start to get a good groove first. Like that. That's what I don't want to happen. Those corners will be hot and sharp. So we'll end up grinding those down. So now I am lining it up and marking some so we can drill holes to be able to mount the brackets to the metal plate. Good enough. I'll be able to get the bottom one because I've got the top of the bottom one. I'll have to waller those out a little bit or get a bigger bolt. Get a bigger drill bit. Perfect. Perfect. Last hole on this side, which will be right there. I think I'm going to be so bold as to just do that
Ooh.
and mark it and deal with the consequences of that decision later. Mark, 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 goose. Waller time. Waller time. All right, last hole. Maybe let's figure out the wiring while we still have everything tied together.
Okay. The extension cord.
Extension cord. I kind of wanted a brown wire because I thought it'd be cooler than other kinds of wire.
More on theme with what we're going for?
Yep. Without having to do too much to it. I'm gonna go ahead and kill this end. Luckily, this is a pretty easy wiring setup. Certain important pieces that will matter is the red needs to go to the red. That way the fans spin the right way and the pump pumps the correct way. Oh, that's super nice. So we don't have to change these wires out if we don't want to, because they can actually just reach right here to the switches.
Great.
The black wire, usually the ground or common, we will have that run straight to the ground. The red one we will interrupt with the switch. So we'll have this coming into one side of the red,
Okay.
coming from here to this red. And then same thing on this, where we will have on one side of this switch right here, doesn't much matter, yellow. and then we'll have red coming out to here.
Okay.
And then the blues will be disconnected straight to the ground.
Gotcha. What the hell?
Okay. Jeff, I'm sorry you missed that country
Line it
life,
up.
my friend.
Oh, God, I'm not, I think.
There. And then we need one to come from here to here. So it looks like we're going to need to cut the other cord. Let's separate these out. So there's no color markings on this, so how do you tell the difference between red and black on this? But there is words stamped in, so we're going to use words stamped in as the red, so that way when we chase it down, we'll know which side to connect.
Gotcha.
To the positive or red or whatever. Snip it in between the wires. Resist every urge to use your teeth. There we go there. Actually, on this end, we're going to wait a minute because I think we're going to wrap this up a little bit. Let's do a double wrap, and that way it comes up in the middle of the barrel.
Yeah.
Looks about right.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to wire everything up here, and then I'll cut this end off as necessary
Oh,
for
gotcha.
length.
Gotcha.
Just, this is stable. This will shift around a little bit. So
Yep.
let's start with the stable end.
And what are those?
These are little wires.
Oh, where they clip or push onto the...
Yep, that's it.
Gotcha.
You do the, it's like a whoop.
Yep.
Female disconnects.
Oh.
So one side will go on the wire.
Mm-hmm.
And then one side will clip on the little metal tab.
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
After looking at it, I'm going to reverse it from what I said earlier, but I'm going to use the black wires or the ground as the switches, and the hot will be ran continuous straight to the batteries. You'll see in a minute. But
Okay.
just to clarify after looking at it. Yes. And then crimp it with my little crimper things. You see those?
Oh, yeah.
Those are meant for crimping.
Crimpin'.
Oh! There we go. And we need another one for the other side. And this one will plug in on that side. We said the red would be the one with words on it. Oh, this one has the stripes. Okay. See the ridges on this side? Ruffles for ridges.
Oh, I forgot about that. How dare you put that back in my head? But yes, I do.
Ruffles have
Jeez.
ridges.
Oh my God.
Wires have ridges.
God.
Okay. Ridges is now the hot. Okay. I'm gonna be a little sneaky.
How's that?
We don't need all these wires. Technically, these are for 16 gauge, 16 to 14, so they can hold a little bit more. But this is 16 gauge wire. I'm gonna be shoving two 16 gauge wires into one.
I gotcha.
But I don't need all this extra wire because 16 gauge is way overkill for the amount of amperage and volts and watts and ohms and electrical terms.
So you can just not use some of them and it's fine?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I'm just gonna separate out some and cut it off, about half. Awesome. And then this one, we will do the same. Oh, we got the switches to wire in,
Oh, yeah.
which is fine. It just dawned on me. I was like, oh, gotta do those. Okay. That's non-ridges, no ruffles here. This is a ruffle-free zone.
Good.
Hit that with a little bit of tape. So let's strip this one back some more. I do want to do a little shrinky dink on this one. So I'll slide it on back there. Now we can solder everything. And then pull it back over and heat it and make it shrink.
Oh.
Talking to you, Jeff, and not the audience here.
Uh-oh.
I don't
It's
care
about
what
to get
you
real.
say, Jeff. I'm not doing it the wrong way.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
soldering my whole life, and it has worked every time.
I didn't.
There may be better ways, Jeff, but this is effective. This is not a master class of how to build things. This is hang out with me while I try to figure crap out.
Well, I'm going to get in super close so that I can be sure not to be critical.
Thank
Does
you.
that make sense?
It does. There we go. So that is that side complete, or back here anyways. So now we need a wire running from this side to there. Now we can twist together the non-ridge side. Give it a little crimpy crimp. These two, give those a twisty twist. Not a word.
I didn't say anything.
Not a word.
Ooh, it's got quite the odor, doesn't it?
Burning lead, my friend. Like I said, nothing quite like it. Oh, crap.
What?
Shoot. We didn't put the heat shrink on that side. Looks like we're using tape, Jeff. You know what? That heat shrink, I just don't trust it. We ain't a bunch of city folk using heat shrink.
Using heat shrink like city boy.
Bunch of damn city kid. Freaking eating McDonald's and using heat shrink. So let's cut that dirty heat shrink off of there. Don't want it involved in my life. Tape for life. You know how some of our fans will put 3 in the comments because
Yeah.
of the 3 Club?
Yep.
If you know, you know. Now we're gonna have a new tape club where they just put tape in the.
This is looking pretty damn cool, Corey.
Yep. I say we go ahead and loosely wire up these while we're here. Now we gotta strip these. And this one. Oh, yeah. Put those back there and the non-ridge side there. Trying to decide, do I want to use the barrels or do I want to solder?
What's the difference?
These are faster and easier and you don't have to solder, but I trust them less. And I'm afraid with the weight, if the batteries fall, they can rip out of these.
Okay. So
So for some reason, I feel like they get jostled off the Velcro. So I think I'm gonna solder just so we have a little better connection. I'm gonna reduce the wires by a few, make the soldering process a little easier, and we don't need all that. Hey Jeff, I know you would do it different. I hear you.
Well,
But
I promised I wouldn't say anything, so.
it ain't pretty.
Will it work?
Oh yeah,
That's great.
that's all I care about. That side much prettier. Now this side. Baller. So now I'm going to just flatten out any of the sticking up wires so they don't poke through the tape. Yeah, so back when I was late teens, early 20s, I was a crazy good car audio installer, building custom boxes and doing competitions and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's actually where I learned some of my woodworking skills, for whatever they are, is building speaker boxes. So I was into audio in my room in the house. So I had like 20 or 30 speakers in my room with an old amp. I built a bunch of speaker boxes and ordered a bunch of speakers online and wired them all, and then did all the car audio stuff. So building like custom consoles and speaker boxes and that kind of stuff. And so having to do a bunch of that is where I learned some of my early woodworking skills, or I guess more honed them to some extent. I don't show all of them off here. Now this guy.
I've been waiting for this moment to see both of those on there.
Twist these up just a little bit to hold them down, and then tape that. Ow. Wow. We definitely have an injury counter on that.
What happened?
I don't know. Thing just sliced the Jesus out of me.
You all right? Oh, damn.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, let me get the first aid going.
Yep.
I mean, I'll be all right, but like, geez.
Let's talk about what happened, Corey.
Injury counter, which I'm gonna find a way to cut this thing off. You see that little buckle there?
Yep.
What I did was I swiped my finger down and it caught right there.
Ooh, it's
And
that
when
sharp?
it caught, it is extremely sharp on the inside, like knife sharp. I can feel it right now. So I just sliced my finger open and just went, just cut a flap open on my finger.
Ooh.
3 Band-Aids and we're good to go.
Question mark?
And then, now I'm like scared of this thing.
It's funny to hear you say that. All these crazy power tools and everything.
Yeah, that thing scares me way more than any of the rest of the stuff. Now that I know I have a knife on my apron. And then we need a little section from here down to the switch. Mm-hmm. Ow. Eh. I'd prefer to have this finger. Of all the ways you thought I might get injured today,
That was not on the list at all.
robe hook was not high on the list. So the reason I check for the little spikies when I'm soldering, and I kind of like squish the wires down, because technically those wires can, if they're sticking out, they can stick out of the tape and stick into the other side when I tape them together like that, if that makes any sense. So that's why I kind of always squish those down and put an extra row of tape over that section.
Yep.
If this was something I was actually concerned about dying, might put a couple extra rolls of tape or use proper tools or something. I think I'm gonna wrap it around like this, underneath that pipe and around like that,
Okay.
because that way it holds the wires down out of this fan blade.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Put that in there and give it a little squeezy squeeze. Don't use your incorrect digit. Hit that with a little bit of tape. Ooh. We can put one of those on this thingy here. Now squeeze the fire out of that, not using your good digit.
I feel like I'm learning important lessons here.
Woo! Me too. Me too. Would you believe it? This is my first Tater Tot shotgun I've built.
Well, if I may say, you're a natural.
Thank you. Someday, maybe I'll show you the telephone wire splice method for splicing 2 wires together. So that way you don't have to solder. But you split 2 wires apart, you put them together and you twist them together in a certain way.
Okay.
And it makes it where they won't pull apart.
Yep.
We don't need to do that here. Okay, time for some more tape. Not a paid sponsor, but this is by far the best electric tape. Scotch 3M Super 33.
Super
The
33.
yellow is the color you're looking for. That's the only electrical tape that I will use. This is the best. I've been using it for literally decades. I'm that old. I've been using this when I was car audio days.
Yeah.
There's only this yellow. And I would throw it at anybody who tried to bring anything else. Just buy the yellow and move on with your business. Go ahead and loosely wire up the switch if we'd like. Which way is on and which way is off? Poof. Yeah, so you want to pull it back to have it on. And this one's going to go on this side. This thing is going to be dangerous. There's so much going on with this thing, with so many whirly-bird death machines and...
Yep.
It's frightening. What are we doing? What are we doing? Whose idea was this? Jeff, we're ready for a little testy test.
Get out of here.
Let me put these on. Ow, ow. See if we got everything wired right. We got everything wired right on that side.
Jeez.
Let's try this side, see if we got everything wired right on this side. Because we don't want the fan to start and we don't want one of those motors to click.
Oh, God.
Everything's,
Oh!
at least in theory, wired right. Hopefully this one will start pumping. Here we go. Yeah! Okay, let's do this side. Let me tighten this one up a little bit. That way it doesn't slip down,
Yep.
jam up on us. All right, here we go. You ready?
Ready?
Okay.
They still holding?
Yeah. Yeah, that one's holding right at 40, that one's holding right at 41 or whatever.
So now do we first just test to make sure that the things work? Don't put anything in it? Just
I think so. Okay, so we're gonna test the gun closest to me, the left side gun.
okay.
3, 2, 1. Oh!
Damn!
Yeah! All right, let's test the right gun. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. Now, let's do one more test.
Okay.
Now we're going to try to do both triggers at once
Okay.
to fire all 4 barrels. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God. I can't. Holy crap.
What do you think, man?
That's pretty incredible.
As far as the build goes, we're like
That's it?
98% there, really. This is really awesome, but it tends to grab and kind of cut kind of funny because it goes in layers.
Okay.
So one of my favorite drill bits by far, and actually I've had this drill bit in particular and the other one for 20 years, 21 years.
Wow.
So they're good, but there's a reason. These are, I don't know what they are now, but they used to be 50, 60, 80 bucks.
So probably more now.
Maybe less, who knows? Maybe they've
No. Yeah.
come down because of inflation. Nope. Let's not be silly. I don't want it to be too loose or it causes problems. So let's just take our time with it and make sure we get the right size. That's the right size.
Perfect.
So almost to the big one. Same thing on this side. See how it kind of grabs each layer?
Yep.
Yep. So we'll take that little washer off and the on-off direction plate. Let me slide this guy on. Slide the on-off plate back there. Put the nut back on. There we go. In order to get this tight enough where they don't spin, there's another nut right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna take that off, then slide this on,
Oh, and put the.
then put the nut on, because then I can tighten the shirt out of it. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. But it's real cool. Here, come check it out. There's Jeff. First time holding the monstrosity. Put your left hand up. Yeah. Remember the grips will
they're
be
gonna
up
be up
there.
here.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, yeah, you're not going to go running around like some badass across the field with this, but
I don't know. Don't
well,
tell me what I'm not
I'm
going
much
to do.
weaker. I mean, you can stare right. I mean, that top set of barrels is at a great height.
Because really now we kind of need to disassemble it.
Yep.
Go ahead and disengage these.
Might be mistaken, but it looked like you kind of jumped there for a second.
Me?
Did you? Yeah. Oh, I thought when it went, tss, you went. Oh.
So I think now we really just disassemble it and then start prepping everything for sanding. So let's just do that. Actually, let's just separate it. Let's just separate the two right quick. I got a zip tie in here that was for support earlier that we don't need now. So there's that one. And then they should just separate. Oh, I was wondering what's happening. I forgot we had one of those zip ties on the back. I was like, it should just come apart. There we go.
There it is.
We need some sort of like stand for it though.
We definitely need a stand for it.
It's a little frightening just to set down. And then let's check this one out. This one's nicer because everything's on this side.
Oh, yeah. Yep. What are we sanding again exactly?
I don't know. Wood pieces. Sanding is like usually one of my least favorite things to do.
Okay.
Apparently it's my dad's favorite thing to do because everything we ever did, he made me sand forever because he wanted it like smooth and nice.
Sure.
I mean, he was right. Don't mean I like it. All right. So gotta be one of those guys. Really all we're trying to do is knock down some of these edges to make them awesome. Take off that edge right there so it's not sharp. Yep. So it just rounds that corner a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then on some on the flat side too. You take and put your finger in like this. Kind of go around inside the hole just a little bit, just to smooth the edge. So what's your thought on a full crazy build? Because this is a full crazy one.
I'm enjoying the result a lot more.
Yeah?
Yeah, by far.
I'm just trying to make Bill Duran proud. I love you, Bill. Let me see, how you doing? You're getting pretty close too.
I am getting there.
I wrote letters on these so we could figure out which side they go on. So this is right bottom, left bottom.
Oh, okay. Yep.
These are much easier to sand. Perfect. Ooh. Yeah. Get a little cramp. Cramp up a little bit.
A little bit.
We're gonna win this state fair competition.
God.
Be right back. That's good. Now wipe it off with that. This one I think I'm gonna do just a little bit of repair on. Got that hairline crack right there.
Yep.
And then also that little dugout piece there and there.
Yep.
I'm gonna use that wood epoxy
Oh, to fill it.
and fill it up.
Yep.
And then we'll stain that one. So I'm gonna set that one aside. So we're gonna do a little bit of staining. This would not be considered the appropriate way,
No.
but it's actually not too far off.
Okay.
Besides a bunch more sanding than we're supposed to do, no matter what you do on stain like this, or really any stain, do not shake it. Never shake the stain. Jeff, you listening to me? Never shake the stain, because when you shake the stain, what happens is it gets bubbles, and then you'll wipe those bubbles on, and those can actually like stay. So do not shake the stain, only stir it. You got it?
Got it.
Cool. Okay, ooh, nice. Ooh, okay.
That was almost bad right away.
So we're gonna get a clean towel. we're going to use the rag method.
Rag method?
Yep.
Okay.
So you take one and you fold it, however, and then you dip, and then you rub it on. Ooh, this table is not very level. Just go good and slow on your rubbing. It is a pretty gun stock.
It definitely is,
color.
actually.
I'm gonna grab a new piece and dust it off. What do you think of the rag method?
I'll say it's fine.
All right.
Obviously, it looks a little messier.
Paintbrush is pretty rough.
Oh, that is true. There's less cleanup involved. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yep.
I'm a fan of the rag method.
Yes. Yeah, as it turns out, rag method is the only method
Yes.
interested in using going forward. You think after a couple years of doing this, you might be able to work on something?
Maybe. Truthfully, I've learned quite a few things just over this past week.
Learned how to not to do a lot of things. The edges kind of, just let them soak in a little bit, So just kind of hold the rag on the edge for a second,
Okay.
Like the rough parts.
Yep.
That way it kind of soaks in a little better. Less splotchy on the ends. So like this right here, how it's kind of porous. So
Yep.
you just wipe over it. You can still get porous parts.
Yep.
You just kind of soak. Okay.
Ooh. I almost stained my pants.
You did, or you almost did?
Almost did.
I think the paper towel soaked up a little bit.
Oh.
We're not supposed to set them down like this. I think that looks pretty good. I don't think we need to gild the lily. Is that a phrase?
Do you normally put more than one coat?
It depends on what you're doing.
Okay.
Typically, but it just depends on how much you put on and what kind of wood it is. And
How much you care?
yep. And I care
That much?
that much right there. I'm gonna give like a 220. Yeah.
Oh, that's much finer than a 50, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my mask for this one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like this. This is not fun, and my finger hurts. There, that one's done. Ow.
Finger again?
Well, I kind of grabbed my other finger.
Oh, gotcha.
Did I mention I don't like this?
I was thinking that this is like one of those things like my grandpa wanted me to help him with, hey, you want to help me with this? And, and I'd be like, yeah. And then you do it for 30 seconds. You're like, nope, never mind. I don't want to help anymore.
All right. So really what I was trying to do there is knock off the shine to give the paint a chance to stick to it.
Yep.
Luckily, it's not like this thing is going to be high use. And if it shows a little wear and tear,
Maybe all the better.
all the better. Just a little bit of tea. Don't need much. I just want to, it's so staticky. As soon as you wipe off the dust, it just jumps back on
Oh, gotcha.
with the PVC. So I just want to wipe it down with something just a little bit moist. Looking reasonable. Don't break the trigger off. Let's do the same thing with this one. I think I'm going to widen out these holes a little bit with my other drill bit to make it easier to get the tater tot started.
Ooh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, just a little bit. There's that one.
It's almost kind of depressing now to see it in two pieces.
Oh, yeah? Widen that out a little bit. Then I'll sand that a little bit. Let's do the same thing for this one. And I'll hit it with a little bit of sandpaper. Okay, so now I think we're gonna hit it with a little bit of spray paint.
Spray paint time.
So now I want to tape it up a little bit so when we go to paint it, we don't cover everything. I think I want to paint this little back knob right here gold,
Okay.
just because. So I'm gonna tape it up. Jeff,
Corey.
don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Well, that's convenient.
I want to tape the bottom of the trigger. I don't so much care about this black part. It can be painted and be fine. Just didn't want the actual trigger part to be messed with.
Yep.
Tape over the electric prongs. Okay, so I'm doing little sections to cover up the majority of this brass. So I just tear it in little pieces and just kind of fit it in and then just wrap it over. Takes a bunch of little pieces to cover everything. Once again, I'm not looking for perfection on this.
Just don't want paint to get on it.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be like crazy bad.
Yeah.
I don't mind a little bad, just not crazy bad. Try to do one step above bare minimal. All right, paint time. This is a soft iron, kind of looks like a gunmetal to me.
Excited to see what it looks like, actually.
Come stand over here then.
A little wind shift there.
Yeah. It's got a lot of sparkle in it, more than I thought.
Does it?
Yeah. That's fine. For a first coat, I think that looks pretty good.
It does.
Oh. All right, Jeff.
It's all right. It's like campfire smoke. It just wants to follow you.
Yep. What do you think? That look pretty good, though?
It does look pretty good. Definitely.
How's it look?
That looks pretty incredible, actually. I didn't expect it to look quite so metallic on a PVC.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
But I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. It looks like we'll need a slight second coat, but not bad.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff. I
Yes,
still have
Corey.
my finger.
Oh, well, at least
hasn't-
it's still there,
It hasn't fallen off yet.
despite the paint that you tried to seal it up
Yeah, I
with.
sealed it with a little bit of the spray paint on top, and that seemed to do pretty well. No red streaks yet. You know.
Good.
Anyway.
Good.
What is this day, Jeff? Is this day?
I think this is the 6th day.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just getting started. Just get started. We need to get some things starting on painting, so they'll dry pretty quick. So we have our vintage gold. So we're going to paint the butt of the gun with this gold and see if we like it, because we think it's going to match the bronze or brass of the valve up front. Mm-hmm. Maybe kind of tie it together. How do you get into this? This is like a Christmas present gone bad. There we go. We did too good of a job sanding. The tape stuck.
Nice.
Stuck to it too good. Wild. I don't think I've ever seen that. This tape actually stuck to something. So now I want to tape on this side of it so that we don't get any of the gold paint on this part of the gun.
Yep.
And hopefully this doesn't pull the paint off. Good enough. Might as well get this one. Shake it up. Shake it up. Time to go outside.
All right.
I think I'm gonna need to prime it. Maybe not. What happened, Jeff? I think it's gonna be good on that one.
Okay.
It's just about to drip off there, so I guess that's good enough.
Good.
While our little gold tips are drying, and I think they actually look pretty good. They're still wet. I think the color's not bad. You
I would agree.
Because it looks darker, which is what I was hoping, than the cap.
Yep. I was skeptical, thinking we might want to hit it with the metal, whatever the other one was too.
Yeah,
but,
the
but I think
iron.
that'll work well.
Yeah, it's actually pretty dull. I was afraid it was gonna pop too much, but
Yeah.
I think we're good. So now I believe we can go ahead and disassemble some of this, start prepping for reassembly. Actually, you know what? Before we do all that, let me do one quick test with our new screws.
Oh, yes.
Will this fit through there? Yes. Will it fit through here? Yep. Hey, look, I got the right size.
Great.
Looks pretty great.
It really does. Is that Corey's thinking dance?
Yep. Trying to think of what
I've
the
seen
best.
it several times now.
Yeah. Think about the best move next, whether I want to pull the other gun up and take the tape off of it. Actually, you know what? We can take this tape off and get some orange paint on us. There we go. Got some drips, but I don't care. I think it looks fine.
Agreed.
Let's grab some of our stained wood pieces. I think those look pretty good.
They look pretty good.
I think now is a good time to glue this guy in, actually. And I'm thinking about maybe using some zip ties to hold it in place. I can just pour a bunch in here and mix it in there. I don't need a mixing tray.
Oh, great. Oh. Well then.
I guess that's what I meant. Mixy, 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 mixy. A mixy, mixy mixture. Spread some along that edge there. Make sure we get some in there. Just trying to get as much in contact points as possible. What do you say we give that a shot and see what happens?
Let's see what happens.
Well, I see it squishing out in some areas. So it's making some contact in there. Do a zip tie up here to hold this one up here, this end.
Oh,
Jeff.
God.
Look over there.
I didn't see that. It's that guilty look my kids used to give me.
Yeah, let's see if one will fit back here. No, I don't think it will. Nope. I ordered something over the weekend, by the way.
Uh-oh. What?
A battery-powered rotating
Oh.
tray for it. So if we can find the center point, build some sort of little stand for it,
Yep.
we can have it like on one of these pillars we have around here
Yep.
and have it mounted in the middle and just have it spinning.
I love it.
I think while we're here, we should go ahead and glue this one in its space. Do we have any more in there? Yep. So just kind of looking to where I want this to go. And I'm going to put some of the epoxy where this is supposed to go. And then when I slide onto it, then maybe there'll be some on the inside.
Okay.
Also down here at the very bottom where the grip meets this, there's a spot to put some glue. So I'm gonna do that down here. All right, now let's slide this on. See how that kind of just worked just perfect?
Yep.
Yeah. Until I did that. Clean it up a little bit.
Okay.
And then leave it and let it dry some,
Yep.
because it should be enough in there to keep it in its correct spot. And then once it's dry a little bit, then I can come back and really put on the extra pookie.
Yep.
I guess we can start working on prepping this side some. Ow. I don't know why blue tape is biting me, but it is. Gosh. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to transfer this gun out of here so I can get that one up here so I can do the gluing so
Yep.
we don't have to wait forever. But luckily, I think this is starting to dry enough that we can do that kind of thing. Is there anything left in this one? Yeah. Feels kind of like a hot dog bun and some mustard. Mixy, mixy, mix it up. Get some zip ties ready. Hey, Jeff. What's over there? It looks like something important's happening over there. Oh, hey. I guess it was nothing.
Oh.
This will be the inside of the gun, so you're not going to see this side as much. So I'm going to put a little bit more on this side just to make sure we got a good connection,
Yep.
good contact. I'll wipe a lot of it up as well. I lick a finger, different finger each time, just so we're all on the same page here. All right, I'm gonna put some in between these two again. And then some on the PVC pipes where I think it's gonna roughly go. Pookie, 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 pookie. Boop, boop, boop. Just kind of eyeballed it, so I'm hoping that's close. Well, if we know anything, Jeff, what is it close enough for?
Government work.
Yep. Uh-oh. My
Uh-oh.
Band-Aid came off.
Uh-oh.
Just have to use some of this epoxy to hold the Band-Aid on. No. You're not gonna do that. All right, let's slide this one up. Beautiful. Ah, shiesty. Gotta admit, that look pretty good.
That does look pretty good.
You'll notice the second time I do something, I start to get pretty good. All right, Jeff, I think it's time to stop down, wait 15 minutes for that to dry. We can drink some tea. I can glue my Band-Aid down.
We'll come back and put it all together?
Yep.
Sweet.
We haven't done our Ramrod yet.
Correct.
The other thing that dawned on me is we need 2 Ramrods because we have 2 guns.
Oh, yep.
So now I need to solve the Ramrod problem. I'm kind of contemplating thinking of somehow mounting it to the top of each barrel.
Yes.
And these barrels are 2 foot long. So this thing is 4 foot, so it's perfect. So basically, I don't want the tater tot to go back further than like here. So I'm gonna measure it to be somewhere along that depth, 21.5 inches roughly. So that still leaves us 2.5 inches for some sort of handle. I think actually I'm just gonna split it in half and just let it stick out a little further. At 2 foot. Would you just do it for me? What do you do? There we go. Yep. Ow. Chop time. So I want something that will block this ramrod from going too far into the barrel.
Okay.
So I need to have some sort of handle or block or something along in there to keep it from going too far into the barrel. So roughly in this zone here. We'll match it on this side. So we need something to stop it from going any further in there. Here's what my immediate thought process was. Why don't we use some of our excess boards we have? So
Yep.
I'm thinking about doing the same thing where we drill a hole out of that
Yep.
and then slide it back to, actually, and we won't, that's it, we're not gonna glue it. A hole right here for this to pass through. We glue this one onto this, but this one is just gonna slide on, whoop,
Gotcha.
like that. And then we'll need some sort of, like one of these for that to pass through.
Okay. Yep.
Maybe we'll get the smaller version, this is 3/4, maybe we'll get the 1/2 inch. And that way you just take and slide this off of the barrel. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Hello.
Bye. Bye.
See ya. Annalisa, everybody. Okay, back to this. Don't be distracting me, Jeff.
Wasn't me.
I got it. I know some measurements we need to do because I want it to be roughly resting at the same height as this. So if we're gonna rest this on top of that, I need it to be even all the way down. So I need to take a measurement from the top of the pipe to there. And so we know this needs to be, the bottom of this dowel needs to be at that height from the top of this pipe, if any of that makes any sense at all.
Sort of.
Okay, now to work all that out. I think what I'm gonna do is get roughly the height I want out of this total, and then we can play with where the holes are. I need my marker. Something about like that. 3 and a hair more than 1/4. All right, Jeff, it's cutting time. Beautiful. Does that give us plenty of room? I'm gonna rest it on this wood block right here.
Okay.
So I'm making sure I have enough headroom to be able to drill that out. So it's gonna be sitting about like that. So I want the top to be roughly around there. So that blue line right there is my top line. That looks pretty centered. Put a couple dots around each side. So I know just to drill in the middle of that. Same with this one, I want to mark where this top is. Around there. So if that's the top, let's drill this out. What size do you think that is? 1/2? I guess we could measure it.
3/4.
I think it's 5/8.
Damn it.
I'm gonna tape up the back side of this because I don't want it to get marred too much. And tape can kind of help it hold together a lot of times.
Gotcha.
It didn't help. That's okay. Be fine. Be fine. It's not actually the right drill bit to be using for this, but that's okay. Beautiful. They match. Oh, check that out. Ooh. Ooh, just right.
Nice.
So now what I can do is hold this piece on top of here. I think that looks pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah.
Looks somewhat level. So we got a top and a bottom. Find the center of this guy. I think we gotta go a little further, but let's take a look. Just a little bit. Don't do this, Jeff.
Oh, God.
Actually, this has got to be somewhat loose because it's got to be able to slide off. So I think I'm actually going to finish it with that big one. Now that I'm thinking things through.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Perfect.
And so now this will sit like that.
Nice. Looks good.
Now we can match this one. Made some dots for references. When you try this at home, Jeff,
Yes.
first of all, don't try this at home, Jeff. Second, put it in a vise or something appropriate.
Copy that.
Yep.
Sweet.
Perfect. So now I'm going to sand these guys down so we can stain them. That one. Ow, 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 ow. Hand cramp. Good enough. Now, Jeff, do
Yes, Corey.
you remember what I told you yesterday?
Don't stain the floor.
Yes. Also,
Don't
what
shake.
did I tell you about the stain?
Don't shake it.
Don't you shake the stain ever, you hear me? Shaking a stain puts bubbles in it and it can mess up your staining of your wood. So never shake your stain.
Got it. Looks kind of bubbly, Corey.
That's why I said don't do that. Don't do that. Do you see the bubbles?
I do.
You don't want that. We're just gonna stain my other hand. I'm gonna stain the inside of this circle because you will see it when you take the
Oh, right.
Thing
The
off.
ramrod out.
ramrod out. Yep. The little hole you won't because we'll glue that one up, but this one you will. Hey, I'm gonna have a tan when this is done. Jeff, when you do this at home, don't. But if you did, be careful when you're hammering it because it can spray out on you.
Oh, really?
Because when you, yeah, because there usually gets some around this little lid. So when you hit it, This build has turned into this is a way to do it. You shouldn't do it this way, but it's effective. But don't do anything that I'm doing, Jeff. Oh, we got to stain these.
Oh, yep.
I forgot to sand the end down a little bit.
Oh,
Ow! Gets hot.
really?
Yeah, friction.
Huh.
Back to what we were doing. Looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
sure and get that end real good. Wherever your grains come to an end, usually it's a rougher spot. Usually
Okay.
on the ends of that, you have more pores and stuff, so you need to put a little extra sauce on that, on those sections. To make sure it actually gets stained and you don't have splotchiness.
Yep.
There we go. As we were looking things over, notice that we haven't painted these yet. What if we taped them instead of painted them?
I like that idea.
Because we'll use some gaff tape that has a little bit of texture to it.
Let's do it.
I'm thinking about not making it truly patchwork, but also just not like fretting about it too much.
Yeah.
Keep that moving around there. I actually think that looks pretty cool. Because we're team tape.
Team tape.
I don't want it to get under because it's going to mess with the way this attaches to the battery.
Okay.
So I'm just going to try to get as close to the edge as I can and just mash it into the base. Like that.
Cool. Yep.
Work our way around. Smaller strips would be better. I don't got time for that.
Nice. I think that'll work well.
And we don't have to wait for it to dry.
Yay.
Yay. I kind of like the patchwork of it. I thought about taping around it again, but
I think it'll fit the theme.
I think it will. I think that's kind of what I like about it. Maybe start wiring this one up
Sure.
while we're here. So this one goes to this side. And this one goes to this side. Should we tape these up to make these black?
Probably.
Yeah, tape it, tape it, tape it, tape it, tape it. I know you're impressed with my mad taping skills.
That was pretty good.
Wrap around. Let's put this one on, but just let it rest here for a second. I'm going to figure something to do with this extra.
What?
I wonder when somebody noticed our mistake.
Oh, no.
It's not a problem mistake at all.
Okay.
But I wonder if somebody was watching and was like, you're trying to put the thing there and you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have the. Initially, we designed this piece right here with the switch to use these around the pipes.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Notice something with that bottom one that might make that hard?
Yep.
So we're just going to use the top one.
Okay.
And then we might run a screw into the stock of the bottom one. The other problem is it sticks down a little low. I think maybe it's going to be all right, where it doesn't catch the hand too much.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Let me actually hit this with a file right quick before we get too attached to it.
Okay.
I got to go in the back, though. Oh, God. Okay, my file set. Hey, there's one right there. Oh, yep, yep. Oh, perfect.
Wow.
Crisis averted. So then
Great.
we can just run a little screw right in there.
Yep. Awesome.
That was a close one, folks. What are we thinking about the wire? To be honest, I can't do much about it. I think I'm just gonna not worry about it and we can zip tie it up later
If needed.
if it's really bothering us. So now let's go ahead and try putting our new bolts in. Slap that thing through there. Whew. Okay. And then can we get this one through there? Yeah, we can. So typically what I'll do is just hold that nut on there and then screw it from this side.
Okay.
It's a little easier. These were the screws to the latches we didn't use.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna steal one of these. Get my drill out. And put a screw in there. Should probably drill a tiny pilot hole. But you know what we don't have, Jeff? Time for that. And now, this thing is really tied to the pipe. I'm gonna make these as high as possible. So I'm gonna
Okay.
push it up all the way to where it bumps into the bottom there. And we're getting there. Definitely think I want to put a zip tie around these at some point in time, once we get them spaced out right.
Yep.
So I think this one is good enough right now. I think we're gonna start on the other one. Well, let's start with taping up the old green thing. I think I'm gonna do this one opposite though. I'm gonna tape the bottom first, then the top.
Any particular reason?
I think it'll look a little cleaner.
Okay.
Not much though, so I think it'll be about the same in the end. Taping the yellow and blue together for a ways, and then taping them separately. Keeps it a little cleaner. Okay, time to figure this one out. Maybe like that. And like that. And maybe sneak this one through this way a couple times. Other way. And the reason why the other way is because it will pull the wire down, not up, in theory. Do I have enough wire to do it? Whew, I don't think I do. Do one less loop through there, be fine. There we go. Pliers. Okay. And then if we do the same as the last time, we run this one through here, and then around there. Get that in there good and tight. If you think I hate sanding wood, I really hate sanding metal. Yeet. Yeet. Hey, you don't want to start hurting your finger, you're getting close.
Are we putting a screw in the bottom of that into the stock?
Oh yeah, thank you. We just about screwed it up. Jeff, you know what you should do in this time?
Drill a small little pilot hole?
Yep. You know what we don't have time for?
Drilling a small little pilot
Any
hole?
of that nonsense. Yep.
There.
Dope. I'm trying not to get in the way of the trigger.
Oh,
So I
right.
think I'm having to go around this way. And then I think we're gonna try to put them together.
I'm excited.
Well, y'all wanted to hang out for a build. I guess that's what we're doing. Clean up and all.
It's not all glamorous.
It is indeed not. It's only like when the episode airs.
Yeah, right.
And you got about 3 minutes of glamour
Yep.
before the real comments start coming in. Because the first handful of comments are always like, first. I'm like, yeah. And then there's the 3 Club.
Yep.
Now maybe there's the Tape Club. And then there's like, Modern Rogue, here we go. And then people start showing up with opinions. All right, good enough. Assembly time. They look so good.
For real.
Which way you think? Put the bolts through.
So the end of the,
Bolt going this way, you think?
yeah, yeah,
Back to the middle?
yep.
Okay, I agree. Oh, no.
It's a little off.
Yeah, these stocks, I thought I had them measured out right, but they're bumping into each other a little bit. I can fix it, but how far are we off? Oh, it's the, so the back is good. It's the front tip that's off. We're gonna have to do some unpleasant things, Jeff.
Oh no.
This piece right here and the other piece, they come together a little too close. Back here they fit, up here they don't, because the barrels kind of tilt in towards each other just a little bit.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna have to do is actually just cut that down, so we have more room for those to come together.
Gotcha.
What have we talked about this whole time?
I give up.
Yes. That's what we've talked about is giving up. But we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna give up. I am gonna do something that typically I would take more time to do it right,
Yep.
but we really only have like another hour or two to get this thing finished up.
Yep.
So I'm going to take a shortcut that is less safe and will not look as good as just sanding it down. So I would get a higher end grit and just sand it down. What I'm gonna do now is use the saw, cut out a chunk of it, then sand it, then we can stain it and keep moving.
Okay.
So this will be high jank. Don't do this. Stop it. Dang it.
Hi, Jank.
High jank, effective. Closer. Yeah, let's do some on the other side. I think we'll be good.
Okay. Guess what I'm never going to do, Corey?
What's that, Jeff?
Exactly what you just did.
No? Thank you, Jeff, for not doing that. Never do that. Let's see if it fits, and then we can come back and do the staining on it. I think it does.
Sweet.
Hit those boys, a little bit of stain. Crisis averted. This one goes through here.
I'm so glad those fit.
Yeah. Yes. Just loosely do these for now. So this is the left. So left bottom, left top, right bottom. So that goes on this gun. Woo! Now the tricky part. Getting all this lined back up and screwed back in together. Get this one in there. I don't want to like really mar up the paint on these. And we're gonna have to like rotate them and move them around in order to get to the others to be able to tighten it in.
Yep.
Whoever designed it,
Didn't think that far ahead.
I mean, they did pretty good. It's pretty good, but you know, things could have been better.
For as much as has gone into it, there have been few hiccups, and
Yeah.
none of them were catastrophic.
Oh, getting confused. This is right top. So right top goes
Oh. Gotcha.
on this side.
Yep.
Woo! So this, we need a left top over this one. Yikes, that was close. Probably would have been the same, but nope. Maybe I did do it wrong when I wrote them down. Because this does line up. That is how we're gonna do it. But, dang it.
What?
Put the board on upside down. Gosh, dang. Like that, dummy. There's a reason why I saved this part for last, because I knew this was going to be a beast to get situated and right. Yeah. Meant to do that. I'm thinking about when we pull these apart, how they will still support a battery on their own. And I had that planned out previously. Now I'm verifying that I've got it going the right direction for that. Yeah, it'll be fine, especially being Velcroed. The battery may slide a little bit,
Yep.
depending on how tight I have these when you pull them apart, but I think we'll be okay. Left bottom. I like to just barely put the screws in, that way I can still adjust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, top. So it needs to go like this. Yes, and that lines up. Great. Get that one started. This one started. It's like a puzzle piece, getting all the pieces tight together at the
Yep.
right spot, the right time. Okay, let's put some bolts through there. Then we can get everything straight and tightened up a little bit. Everything was just a little bit off from, we didn't quite get it
Yep.
set. Well, it ain't exactly perfect, but I think we're about like what we had it before the first time we tested it. I think we're just gonna call that good enough. Yeah, that's all right. I'm okay with this. You go grab the batteries.
Okay.
Yeah. Had them back here charging. Oh, yep. Ah. Okay. Yeah. So right here, while we have them up,
Go ahead and tape over the.
yep, words. Mm-hmm. No, 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 no.
Team
Hashtag tape club.
Tape Club. Is it Tape Club or Team Tape?
Yeah, both.
That one sounds like it's on.
It is. Cool. Ooh. Give it to me. Give it to me. Don't you stop it. Yep. All right, here we go. Take this one off, and we should have the batteries mounted. Make sure we're going the right direction. Are we going the right direction? Yes. Everything's lined up? Yes. Yep, good enough. It's kind of blocking the bolts, but it's okay. That's why we got the thing just stay in there.
Yep.
Jeff, I think we're getting dangerously close to finished.
Feeling that way.
Scare me. Give that a little tighten.
That looks so badass.
Ooh. Let me hold it up. Okay. Oh, it's the first time you've been held together.
Look at that thing.
These are in a pretty good spot. Okay. What do you think? We turn it on?
Yeah, might as well.
right. I'm going to have to zip tie this wire up out of the way. It's kind of getting close to the triggers. So that's good to know. That one too, okay. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Sweet. Whoo. Okay, let's make a few little rounds here. Stick them in the barrel. Oh, you know what we haven't done is mounted the
Oh, the ramrods?
ramrods. They will go like that. But I'm missing the piece.
What piece are we missing for that?
The little brackets to hold
Oh, that's right, that's right.
down right there. But it'll look like that. Get that in there. And then this one and this one. Okay. Let's turn it on. It's like trying to take off.
Right?
All right, around 75 PSI or so. All right, I'm gonna shoot the right side first, I think. 3, 2, 1. Yep, left side.
Oh my God.
All right, pretty excited.
That is a beast.
What do you think, look cool?
It does. It looks super cool.
Okay,
So badass.
all right, then what we do now is we're gonna do one little test. We're gonna get some frozen tater tots. We're gonna put them in there. We're not gonna compress it up very much. Shoot it at Eli 2.0 over here and see what happens.
All right.
I'm gonna go get some tater tots. There. It's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one. And maybe that one. So now, I don't think these are gonna fit real good being this hard frozen. I think they need to be just like soft on the outside and frozen in the middle.
Okay.
I think just having them just being just a little bit melty on the outside, just a little bit. Because these are a little bit larger than the inside of our barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And being as frozen hard as those are right now, I'm not so sure. So now we just stare and wait. See, it's just a little much. Ooh, I got an idea. I'll just warm them up.
Oh,
We can
there
set
you
them
go.
outside for like 10
2
seconds.
seconds.
And be burnt. Pray to the Tater Tot King.
Give us strength, oh Tater Tot King.
We're probably gonna have to get like real safety goggles on here in a minute.
Probably.
What if it works?
I have this gut feeling that the tater tots are just going to get obliterated with the air. You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. So that should go in right about there. This one should go in right about there. Oh! I didn't think of that.
I didn't either. That was funny though.
Huh. We shot a tater tot out.
Well, we know it'll fly out.
We do know it'll fly out. Interesting. We know we got a good seal on there too.
Oh man.
Yikes.
The moment of truth.
Let's get some goggles on. Let's test the Tater Tot shotgun. Woo! So excited. Okay, we got Tater Tots loaded, 4 of them. We're gonna try to shoot all 4 at the same time. And then let's click it on, both of them on. So about 62 pounds of pressure-ish.
Okay.
All right, firing in 3, 2, 1.
Holy
Oh my gosh. Tater Tots at 60 PSI right into Eli 2.0.
Holy crap. That is, wow.
Jeff, we have successfully created a monstrosity. Something that the world has needed.
They didn't know that they needed it.
They didn't know they wanted it. But we have created a Tater Tot shotgun that is somewhat steampunk, somewhat kind of modern, little bit Western. That thing's nasty. Mission successful as far as we're concerned.
Yes, 100%.
Thanks for helping, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I just love the potato sticking out. What are we doing?
Well, we are at the Whiskey Tribe Complex.
Yes.
We're at the Bastards Ball.
So there's going to be like 500 people here. And then so we're running the Whiskey Olympics, or help running the Whiskey Olympics. Cork toss and Chad's hole. Well, no, not Chad's hole of glory. Todd's hole of glory. We have axe throwing, cork toss, paintball.
We also
and then of
have
course, yes, we brought the Tater Tot shotgun.
We did bring it.
In that bucket down there, a bag of frozen tater tots. Hopefully they're still frozen. And some hot dogs and maybe some Play-Doh. So see if we can't get some fun shots, maybe an ending to this fantastic episode.
Yep.
All right.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
They just evaporated. Awesome.
Fantastic. Any sort of sighting for this, or it's just?
Nah, just scoot up a little closer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. This thing's so cool.
Nice. What do you think?
It's awesome.
Sweet man. Nice. What do you think?
Dude, that's pretty cool. Can I go again?
Nice.
I do. I like it. That's awesome.
What do you think?
You're insane.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Hell yeah.
The most amazing thing of all time.
Oh, the batteries are totally dead. I was hoping to have enough to hit this Illinois. Let me go charge them up for a little bit. Jeff, Corey, we did a thing. Yep. Rex wanted to play with it, so we're like, well, if Rex wants to play with it, we gotta just do it. Then we shot a hot dog in slow motion.
Oh my God! How did that go?
I don't know. We have to wait to see.
I'm really hoping for a.
Yeah. And then we ran out of battery, and you didn't get to play with it.
I'm really pissed about that. By the by,
I think it was a good place to test. We got lots of people shooting it.
there were certainly a lot of people who were interested in taking pictures with it.
Yes, for sure. That's for sure. Anyways, I think it turned out pretty well.
I do too.
Just drop it in.
It's not armed. It's okay.
They're still hard but moist.
Yep.
It's like I'm in the Revolutionary War here. All the way down.
Oh, whoa,
Yeah.
you gave up on that one. Come on.
Ooh, nice and
Yeah,
greasy.
you like that?
So hard and moist.
I can't tell you how excited I am for you to shoot my gun.
All right.
All right. These two are the motors. Yeah. These two are the triggers.
Got it.
So don't touch these
Got
until
it.
we're ready. So turn those on until it gets up to about 120
Both
psi.
of them? Should I do point blank on the pumpkin?
I'll get a little closer for sure.
Yeah. All right. How long does it take?
Another 20 seconds.
Okay.
It doesn't take too long.
20. All right. You ready? That's awesome, man. Very cool.
What do we got? We got some hot dogs. I think they'll shoot all right. Oh, check that out.
Oh, that is awesome. Fast food generally the same diameter.
Right? That's it. Look at that. That is hilarious. We got it all in there. Hopefully that shoots out, right? $160 looks pretty good. I think we're good.
That was incredible.
We did it.
We did it.
All right. See y'all in the next episode. Unsanctioned test at 112 psi. We're going to shoot the car to see if it'll dent. I'm a little concerned now that it's 120 psi. All right, ready?
All right.
Protect your nether regions. And 3, 2, 1.
Holy crap. Oh my God. Oh.
It'll dent. Okay. All right.
All right.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.